Hello, everybody. ESR, 3D Speed, etc. Anyone else who might be watching this. This is my review of last night's race of Zandvoort. I do this after every race. Let's move this a little center, please. There we go. Just put the camera back up after it was on the racing rig. I do this after every race where I review my race and figure out, like, do I want to bring anything to the stewards? Do I want to self-report myself or anything? Is there anything to work on for next time? Take a drink. I just don't generally record it. So I said I'd try this. And if it gets views and people like it, I'll do it again in the future because I use this time to review the race anyways. It just is getting recorded this time. So this is Zandvoort. I am the green, white, and black Audi, and let's get rolling. So let's get through the opening here. So I am a little bit worried about the start because this is our first official manual start, and I want to see if my grouping was nice and tight. If I was, close enough to Wentworth without being dangerously close. Sort of thing. We also have Dave Nelson up here, Guillermo Martinez to my side, Chris Johnson and William Murr, I believe, are the next row up. So let's get moving here. And behind me will be Tony Yimbo and Richard Hicks. All right, so let's get rolling here. So I'm a little bit farther back here because I got a little bit of a bad start. Doesn't really matter because it's where I am on the start-finish line that is going to matter. So I'm pretty tight there. I'm liking that. I'm liking that distance. Maybe a little bit further back here. Getting to about 80 kilometers, 90 kilometers is good. Anywhere up to about 100, I think, is probably okay. Depends on what the leader is setting. And we're off. Could have been a little bit tighter, but I think it was okay. I think there are bigger gaps being left elsewhere. Through the first corner, down the inside of Nelson, who got a little bit wide there. That's fine. That's good. This is the part where we kind of get into the just follow the leader part of the race. Whoa! Okay, so I knew about this. So I knew that I was going to be looking at Tony Yimbo's driving to see if I want to report him. And also, there is a incident of my own that I'm going to probably look at very closely to see if I want to report myself. I know the guy I hit says he's not going to report me and isn't taking it too bad, but it's still definitely worth a look. And it's an incident at Tarzan that occurs later in the race, but here we go. I'm honestly a little bit uncertain how he gets such a run on me. I mean, I brake earlier than him, and I was following him at various points of the race. He goes very deep into this corner, which I think is a bit of a mistake. But at this point, I'm not really sure if he's going for a move. And he doesn't force the issue, so I think we're okay. I don't think that did a lot of damage. I think on my onboard video, which is up now, and you should probably watch before this, I took a little bit more offense to that than maybe was required. Just because it didn't look like he was really trying to make a move. He just brakes very late for that turn. Or I brake early. I mean, that's also possible. But I know he also has an incident with Guillermo Martinez, like, in that same spot. So I think he's going quite deep. And I trailed him through that turn at one point and saw him go quite deep as well. I don't think anything else happens on this first lap. So let's speed this up a little bit. Got a little bit deep there into the Audi S, but otherwise okay. Running behind Wentworth and Johnston. So I noticed at this point that Jeff is... Get my hand in here. That Jeff is going a little bit wide in Tarzan, and then that will probably be a point where I can attack him, which I'm going to use later. I don't think there's anything else really for this little bit here. I'm just following Jeff. He looks a little bit unsteady. I think I commented on this on the onboard, that he looks like the car is driving him a little bit points. And I definitely think that, well, Jeff is usually a faster driver than me, that I can probably get around him here. And still behind me, now I have Martinez behind me, okay. So I have Guillermo. I don't think there's any contact with Guillermo to look at. So I think the next thing is where we're going to look at possibly the self-report with Wentworth. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so let's slow this down. So coming across the start-finish line, I am about 3 kilometers faster, a little bit faster in the straight. Am I braking just too late here? Let's see here. Give me a braking spot. Let's slow this down. Okay, I am braking before the line, so this is about 100 meters. This is kind of my normal braking zone, but I'm taking a much more acute line here. And yeah, you can see I'm kind of bump passing Wentworth. Martinez gets down the inside, kind of hit him a little bit, but I think it's okay. I don't feel the need to self-report myself on this one. I think the move, in theory, was on. I think I'd seen that Wentworth struggled a little bit into Tarzan. I think he struggled a little bit there as well. I went for the move, but I have the angle wrong, and I am forcing him. Now, the only reason I am thinking not to self-report myself is I don't think I force him off the track. I force him offline, but not off the track. If he wants to report me for that, he totally can. I think there might be like some kind of minor penalty, but I think I don't feel bad enough about it to self-report. I think that when I self-report myself, it's when I do something that I have no defense for, just like a complete brain fart moment that throw the book at me. This I don't even think would qualify in like the tier 1, tier 2 levels of penalties. Probably a reprimand maybe, but I mean that's up to the steward. I am technically opening myself up. He could totally take this as a report, but I don't feel that bad about it. Martinez gets us both there, and I think there's some additional contact coming up. So me and Jeff are in a bit of a bad spot here. This is a kind of a bad spot to go for the overtake because it's like kind of a 1.5 line situation where like 2 cars really can't overly safely make it through. And then into here. Ooh, that was a little bit of contact. Okay, that I didn't even remember that. So let's get in the car, see the wheel, because the wheel is going to tell us something here. So there's not really anything else I can do. I can turn in earlier, but I don't think there's a ton here. I think honestly, I'm just not aware that the Mercedes is beside me. I'd have to watch my onboard again to see like what I'm even saying at this point. Maybe I'm just not aware that he's there. It's possible. Let's see. Where's his turn-in point? So he's got overlap, but he's not ahead. You have like the briefest of contact there. He can't really see me either, so that's... I don't know, we're kind of in each other's blind spots. What's the overlap like? Let's rewind here. I'm feeling a racing incident. Both of us really are... both of us from inside the car are really having a hard time seeing each other. But I could have kept that tighter. What happens to him? Is he okay? He's okay, but Yimbo's got a run on him now. Okay. Let's get back with me here. Looks like there might be something else here. Maybe? No. Okay. Sloppy. But I'm not going to report. If the steward wants to take this as a report, he is... I mean, that's up to him. That's his rules. So Yimbo's behind me now. And this one I'm a little bit worried about, because Yimbo at one point does very much drive me off the track. I want to see it from the outside before I make a report, though, because it might not look nearly as bad. He's got a great run down into Tarzan. We bang a little bit here. Might be worth taking a look here. Probably from inside the car would be good. Let's see here. Let's get in my head here. There he is. Kind of falls back. I do close the door a little bit here. Kind of want to see this from the outside. Ooh, that's perfect. That's a great view right there. So I'm ahead, but I'm wide. And then the second one I'd say is his fault. First one is my fault. He gets the overtake done. I think 50-50 move. Okay. I'm not really a big... I really never have much of a problem with side-by-side contact. It's when it's contact to the rear or the rear quarter panel that we end up with problems. Because, to be honest, sometimes the game doesn't match those physics all that well. So I'm behind him now. And I don't think at any point anyone behind me, McLaughlin, Wentworth, etc., ever really catch me. So right here we're just kind of looking at lines to see mistakes. Going a little bit deep into the Audi S. I should probably correct that in the future. Didn't really have great pace in this race. I think my fastest lap was something like a 37.6 or something. At this point it's a 38.5, but it hasn't really been a clean lap yet. I get into the 37s a reasonable amount, but I would have thought that the low 37s were where I should have been. Just because I did a 36.1 in qualifying. Now, I knew that probably wasn't super replicatable in the race, because like in practice with full fuel, I wasn't able to do that. But I was able to do low 37s, so the fact that I didn't get that was a little bit disappointing. There was a lack of pace in general. I didn't translate my qualifying pace as well to the race as I should have. So in that regard, it's actually a poor race, although I'm running in the top 10, I think, the whole time. A little wide there. Good there. And again, a little deep in the Audi S. Need to trim up the braking there a little bit. I'm leaving time on the floor. What was that lap time? There we go. That was a 37. Okay. So Yimbo goes off there. Now, I'm not going to report this because it's not my place. Or did he just hit here? Alright, him and Martinez. Yeah, I mean... 50-50-ish, I guess. I'd have to look at that. Let's... Okay, so they get side by side in here. He takes a spot. That's very much discretion is better part of value there for Martinez. But see, he goes super deep here, and he does that. He does that a couple of times, and then he comes over. He's coming over into Martinez. So yeah, I don't know. That's on Yimbo, but he pays the price by going off, I think. Wouldn't have reported it anyways. It didn't involve me. I don't like reporting incidents that I'm not involved in unless it's like really, really bad. So I overtake him. Again, having a hard time getting that apex right. I'm getting that turn right though, which is a turn I usually fuck up a lot on. That's a better run through the Audi S at least. So that's good. Lines are not super consistent, though. A little deep into Tarzan, but that's okay. Sometimes because Tarzan's the only really good overtaking, one of the very few good overtaking opportunities here. I do kind of vary my line and braking into there a little bit, just to keep someone behind me from getting the timing down. So that's, there is some intentionality to that. Yeah, better through the Audi S again. Still probably a little bit late on turn-in. That last turn is very hard to be consistent in. Not necessarily... Oh, here we go. Here's a hit. Okay. So I think we'll probably be looking at this one from Yimbo's point of view. He didn't take the spot here, so... But, boom, you can see my... my back end. At that point, my my car becomes somewhat problematic to drive. Yeah, I did a 37.6 and then 37.9. So he did a 36.4, which is insane. I think it was like the second fastest or third fastest car in the race on a single lap. He qualified outside the top 10, so I'm wondering if he... I mean, he's not going for a move again, but the thing is, this is now the second time he's hit me here. And he's had that deep run against Martinez as well. So, at this point, I'm getting a little angry about it. But let's keep rolling. It's not enough. It's damaged the car, but I still have the spot. We're approaching like 15 minutes into the race at this point. Bad run through the Audi S there. Ugh. It's going to give me a bad time through here. He's looking for the move into Tarzan. I think I actually got saved there. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. I think I actually got saved there by the fact that the car was coming out of the pits. I think that was Wayne Hutchison. Because I think if Wayne hadn't been there, he would have gone hard for the Tarzan move. And probably got it. I think he had the run there. Better. Okay. I'm hitting the Audi S sometimes, but not other times. Actually, I'm pretty happy with my run through the back two turns there, actually. It's fairly consistent. Looks at Tarzan again. Doesn't fully commit. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a stuffy nose, so I may snort a little bit. So through. You can do this at faster speed if you want, if you know that nothing really is happening. Because right now I'm just more or less looking at lines, because there's no. There will be another incident, I know that, but for the time being, it's more just keeping an eye on things, seeing where improvement. Like I'm a little bit wide through there, pretty good through there. I hold a tighter line than most through that turn there, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm very happy I was getting that turn relatively correct, because that turn usually is a problem. Ooh, that was not bad. Got a little unsteady on the curb, but that was a decent run through the Audi S. Got a little bit wide there. What was the lap time there? 37.8. Not bad, not bad. At this point, I have, I think around like 12 seconds of damage to my rear end. I think I threw it over to look at the pit stop settings. You can kind of gauge how much damage you have based on that. So the car is at this point a little bit unstable, but it was never too... Oh, whoa. I don't even... Okay, what was that? Felt like he went for a huge run through the Audi S. He did. Ooh, late braking there. Like that's pretty late braking, because I'm braking reasonably late. Like it's not like I'm cutting that turn hugely. Okay. Didn't even realize that live that he did that. No penalty, obviously. He avoided, but I do think Tony is riding like super late into the brakes a lot of the time, and I'm gonna probably look at the race app just to look at his lap times, because I feel like there's a great deal of inconsistency to his lap times. So like I said, he had like second fastest overall lap. I think if he calmed down a little bit, he might actually be a fair bit better. He might get some better results, is what I'm getting at. Also, if he actually did qualifying properly, because I feel like a guy who puts up the same lap time in the race as he does in qualifying isn't running like low fuel in qualifying, and isn't trying to maximize his pace. He's getting very close to me there. He is faster than me for sure, at least around Zandvoort. Like I don't want to diminish it. Tony came to play. Oh, there we go. That's the one. Okay, so this is the one that I'm really worried about. So let's have a look here. Let's get back to the Audi S and look at this. So here we go. I'm not really sure why I went defensive there. He comes up the inside, but like here's the thing. This is the point of commit here. We're on the brakes. I imagine he's turning in. Yeah, he's turning in. I'm turning in. Like, there's no overtake here. Unless I make a major mistake. Yeah, I'm going a little bit wide, but yeah, nah, I don't like that move. I end up off the track. One could argue it's sort of like my Tarzan one, but it's just a complete boff off, and I don't really think if that turn is an overtaking zone. Honestly, it's not a hard break. It's not a hard braking zone because if we go back, where do we start? There, we're more or less there. We're on the brakes at like 160 something. He's at 170. Wow, he's carrying a lot more speed. Should probably follow him around and see if I can figure out where he's getting all that pace from. But that one, I think I'm gonna ask the steward to make a ruling on, because I don't know. I just feel like this move is not really on. Like we're already turning in at this point, and he's going down the inside. Unless he wants to take like the absolute offline road here, I don't think there's anything there. Yeah, I don't. It also doesn't give the move back. Now, to be clear, the gentleman's arrangement does not prevent penalties, because if he had waited, I could have still reported him, so I get that. But I probably wouldn't have reported him if he had waited. Yeah. It's not like he's catching the guy ahead. Chris Johnson's 7.5 seconds ahead. We're not catching him. Excuse me, I'm very congested. But yeah, that one will go to the... That one's gonna have to go to the steward. I want that. I want an opinion on that. Might be too close to it. It also might be I'm being a little bit sour because he hit me in the butt before. And then I think this is really the end of the race in terms of interesting stuff. He gets away from me a little bit. Not too much, actually. He doesn't sprint away from me like I would have thought. I think I noted that on the onboard, that he only gets the gap out to like 4 or 5 seconds. Over the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? 10-ish laps? Or I guess that lap 26 will be the cooldown. So 9 laps. So he doesn't get it out that far, and I actually close in on him a little bit there. Okay, so what happened there is I think I had a really bad run off the Audi S, and that's what set up the move. But I feel like he needed to get an overlap to really state his case there. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to send that to the steward to see what he thinks. We'll see. Might be nothing. Might be a racing incident. But, I mean, you could argue I closed the door, but I don't think that door was open to begin with. It's what it comes down to. I think he would have had to basically cut the track to make that overtake stick. At this point, the car was not really working all that well. It was sliding around a fair bit in some of the corners. Some of that's driving error, don't get me wrong. But, it wasn't necessarily putting the pace up that I would have expected from it. And it was being a little bit of a handful to actually control. And Larry was all over the back of me, but I don't think he really ever finds a way past David Brock off the track there. And sometimes the races are really interesting. Sometimes they just have a couple of big spikes, and mine was kind of like a couple of big spikes. I was in a relatively, I was in a battle with someone pretty much the whole time, but it was a lot of time trial battles, and them, and in Yimbo's case trying to find a way past me, and now Larry's case trying to find a way past me. Again, did not bring the pace I would have wanted. Yeah, I'm doing 38.1 actually it's not terrible. Again, it's terrible if we're looking at my qualifying pace, but if we're looking at my pace the whole race, the car is not actually much slower with the damage. Ooh, a little yawn there. Sorry. Gonna go ahead and get some food. We got commentary tonight, live. If you're, I mean, you probably have checked that out before this even is up. So, not the greatest of advertisement on that. What was that lap? We'll go back into the 37s. Got about a second back to Larry. Larry raced really well, actually. Bronze driver in the top 10. 2 thumbs up. Had a great day. Beating the likes of Justin Swan, Northrup, Keckley, McLaughlin. Simeon Deku back in 17th. I think he had some incidents. I think Richard Higgs did as well. I think Johnny Major said he started from the back. So he's having a decent day. What was that lap? 38 flats. I mean, high 37s, 38 flat, 38-1. It's a decently tight window. There's occasional mistakes. I don't think there's one specific corner. That corner is maybe the worst one that I'm getting wrong. About 4 seconds behind Tony Yimbo at this point. 4.3. We're actually doing a pretty good job of keeping pace with like Johnston and Martinez, though. 4.6, so you got about 3/10 in that third sector. Didn't see the lap time I put up. Hopefully it was a 37 something. Cruise around. We're coming towards the end here. This is the second last lap here. So we've gotten notice that we're approaching the last lap. You put another 10th on me there. Not too much. We're actually catching... we caught Johnson that little bit there. It's down to 4.4 of a second. Now, he's gotten out to over 5 seconds, which is important if he gets a Tier 1 penalty. He'll still keep that spot. I think there was a mistake ahead of us because that gap is now close to 8 seconds to Johnston from Yimbo. So I think a mistake for sure happened there. 5.3. And come to the line with a 38-1. So from the race standpoint, again, if Jeff wants to make a report on the Tarzan incident, I think I am totally cool with it. I'm not going to take any kind of offense to that, but I'm not feeling bad enough to do a self-report. I am going to report Yimbo really just for that last contact, but also kind of a driving standards POV, I think. Honestly, I think for his own sake, he would be better off just like taking a little bit off. If I pull up, I know you guys can't see this, but I'm pulling up Race App. I'd be interested to see like what his lap time gap is, like in sense of like deviation and stuff like that, because I'm thinking it's quite high. Statistics, load now, performance details. It's not that high actually. It's 0.58, which I mean it's the highest of the top 10. But there are higher. Dave Nelson's is the highest, but he had a terrible race. Of the people who I think had somewhat representative race, I think Dave Brock, 2.7%. Johnny Major was also up about almost at 2. Wayne Hutchison, Dixon Hurst a little bit over 1%. So it's not terrible. Progress of lap times. Let's do me versus Yimbo. Yeah, he's faster than me on 18 out of 24 laps. Or 25 laps. I guess it doesn't count the first lap. Which makes sense, actually, because your lap time would be directly impacted. But, Yeah, I mean, there is some spread out. He has one terrible lap there on lap 7. I think that was contact. Was generally able to go a couple. The thing though is still he's still, it's, I don't know, it still feels like he's pushing too much, but I could be wrong. And obviously, if the results pan out, the results pan out. This was his first race of the season, really, because he I think he DC'd at I think he just disconnected at Brands Hatch, or did he? I'm also not really counting Brands Hatch because it was super wet, and he didn't race at Laguna Seca, so I don't know. Still feel like there's probably something to be had there, but that's just me. So that was my review of this race. If you like it, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a view, and I can do more of them because, like I said, this is something I do after every race to try to figure out some stuff. My overall findings, I was disappointed with my pace in the race. Again, just to bring up the numbers here. In qualifying, I qualified 9th on a 36.198, so that's pretty good, 0.8 off. But in the race, couldn't really generate that same level of ability. Now, it does look like everyone else actually did lose a fair bit. But I am like 1.5 seconds off fastest lap in the race. So like Andrew Burke did a 36.1, number of other people did 36s. The only two people I was the slowest VF best lap of the top 10, and actually slower than some of the guys outside the top 10. Jake Northrup went faster than me, as well as Jake Keckley. They might have been the only two. Dixon Hurst actually went faster than me. Interesting. He did a 37.5 in the race. Interesting. And then Dave Nelson, of course, did like a 36.5, but he had a terrible race. He would have been top 10 easily had things gone better. And I don't know how to explain it, really. Because it's not like there was a significantly huge deviation in lap times overall. I'm pretty tightly grouped. I had the 8th lowest deviation in the race, and like the next 4 guys are like 0.02 different from me. There were only 3 people, 2 of which retired. So really just Mika Wood, who had an amazing 0.2 deviation. Big thumbs up for Mika. That were like drastically better than me. So it was there. My average lap time is not particularly bad. It's 12th fastest. So I don't know. There just wasn't really. I didn't have high end pace in the race, and I'd definitely like to figure that out. Was talking, so maybe this is a case where like the talking just actually makes me not that fast. Hadn't noticed it before, to be honest. This is the first time we've really had like a drastic drop from qualifying performance. Some of that was the damage at the end, but at the same time, even when I didn't have damage, I wasn't really bringing it. So there's that. Other than that, there wasn't a specific corner that was a problem. I did go for what was a sloppy execution of an overtaking to Tarzan, which against certain drivers might have netted me a report, if not a penalty. And so that's definitely something not to do in the future. Be a little bit more prepared for that. And had some mashups with Tony Yimbo that I'm upon watching outside the car, I'm actually not nearly as mad as I was. And this goes to my point where people get super bad in the race, they get on comms or whatever. It almost always is not nearly as bad as it felt live. Almost. If you go back in the replay, it seldom looks as bad. There are times when it is bad, and when I say it's not as bad, I don't mean that it's not bad. I mean, I am reporting our contact, but there's a lot less negativity towards Tony. I would say if Tony does watch this, I would maybe think about less late braking, because just even from watching even reviewing here or just driving behind you and stuff, there are a couple of corners you're going very, very deep in. And it's probably granting you pace, but I think it's also making it harder to follow. And probably it's also a little bit harder on the tires. So that's just my thoughts. Maybe I'm just not pushing the envelope enough. I don't know. So that was Zandvoort. We got Imola next. That's the only racing I'm doing. 3D is basically the only racing I'm doing right now, as well as the Enduro, just because racing is super uncomfortable right now. It is getting better, though. My Epsom salt bath at the spa and also the one I'm doing at home, helping a little bit. Does definitely feel a little bit more looser, a little bit less tight. Got some decent got some decent prescription painkillers to go with it, and also one of those creams that you Voltaren basically, but prescribed and thus in theory stronger. So I got that, and it's helping. It's not nearly as painful. It's been about a week and a half since the injury. My recovery time was supposed to be about 3 weeks, so we're about halfway home. And it is the first time I'm feeling like actual progress, so it's good. But it still hurts when I sneeze or take a really deep breath. Like I can fairly breathe, but if I'm like panting or something, then it's a little bit of a problem. Not that anyone really cares about the personal aspects, but I did figure I would throw that in there because people are asking. So I hope you enjoyed, and if you like this format, we can do more of it.